Okay, so we're diving into how I took the lives of two beautiful girls.
Wow.
Yeah, heavy stuff, I know.
Yeah.
But stick with us on this one. I think this book, it takes you on this just emotional roller coaster. You've got tragedy and regret, but then there's this like glimmer of redemption.
Right.
And it's fiction, right? Right.
Right.
But it gets at, I think, some really like fundamental truths about like life loss choices we make.
Yeah, and I think what's really interesting is how right away, like the author throws us into this world of such contrasting emotions, right? You have Emmy and Tilly, these like young cousins who are just like bursting with life, and they're talking about like their dreams and their aspirations.
Yeah.
And then on the other hand, you have Salif, this teenager who's like sneaking out his mom's car, and he's like totally ignoring her warnings about, driving safely.
Yeah, it's that contrast that I think grabs you right away. You have the innocence of like Emmy and Tilly, and then
Yeah.
you have Salif just being like so reckless.
Reckless. Yeah.
And it's like a pattern, right? Because he does it with his parents. He does it with his friend Malik, who's begging him, like, hey, slow down.
Yeah.
It just makes you wonder, like, what is going on in his head? Like, what is he thinking?
Well, I mean, from a psychological standpoint,
Yeah.
a lot of teenagers have this like sense of invincibility, right? And it's because the prefrontal cortex, the part of the brain that's responsible for like making decisions and controlling impulses,
Right.
it's still developing in teenagers.
Oh, okay.
So that can lead to like these risky behaviors, right? Because they might not totally grasp like the consequences.
So it's not, so there's like a biological component to this. It's not just like, oh, he's a rebellious teen.
Right, exactly.
Wow. That's interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, but even knowing that, it's
Yeah.
still hard to like accept what happens next,
Right, yeah.
And these girls are literally just walking home completely unaware
Yeah.
of what's about to hit them.
And I think the author does a really good job of like building that tension,
Yeah.
like the reader's experiencing those final moments from like different perspectives.
Right.
The silver car, the intersection, Emmy and Tilly stepping onto the crosswalk. Like,
Yeah.
it's like this gut-wrenching collision of like innocence and recklessness.
Yeah.
And the consequences for everyone involved are just devastating.
And then the aftermath, right? We're taken right to the families.
Yes.
And we're just like hit with this raw grief.
Yes.
It's almost like unbearable to read.
It is.
But what I thought was so interesting was how each person, each character copes with this.
Yeah, they all cope very differently, right? Like the author really explores like the complexities of grief.
Yeah.
Right? Like Clara, Emmy's mother, she becomes like fixated on the future that her daughter will never have, right? It's like she's constantly replaying all these like dreams and possibilities that are now just gone.
It's like she's stuck in this loop
It's
of what could have been.
exactly.
And then James, Tilly's dad, it's all anger, like raw, pure anger.
Sure, anger.
Like he can't even begin to like process what happened, let alone like heal.
Right, he's just lashing out.
It's like he's lashing out at everything and everyone.
Yes, absolutely.
It just makes you wonder, like, how would we react if, God forbid anything like this ever happened to us?
I know. It makes you think.
Would we be any different?
Right. Yeah.
It's hard to say.
Absolutely. And then you've got Salif, right? Like he wakes up in the hospital
Right.
and he finds out about the girls and it hits him, the
Yeah.
weight of what he did.
It's like this nightmare that he can't wake up from.
Totally. Yeah.
And then he has the trial, right? He gets sentenced to 6 months
Right.
juvenile detention.
Yeah.
But it's like the real punishment is
Yeah.
happening inside. Right?
Absolutely. It's all internal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's interesting how the book kind of takes us into his experience
Yeah.
in the detention center.
It's not just like the physical confinement,
Yeah.
but also the emotional isolation, right?
Yeah. And there's this one part where he gets this like box from his mom
Oh, yeah.
filled with letters and stuff from his childhood.
Oh, that's right.
And it's almost like it forces him to confront like who he was, right?
Right. Like who he was with
This loving son, aspiring artist,
Right.
and how different that is from the person who caused this horrible accident.
Exactly.
I remember there was one letter in particular from his mom,
Yeah.
and she tells him that she still believes in him.
Right. Like there's still good in him.
Yeah, and it's almost like at that moment, that's where his journey to redemption begins.
It's like a seed,
Yeah,
that little bit of hope.
yeah, and it's a reminder that even in the darkest times, there's still, that human connection can really make a difference.
Absolutely.
But this path to redemption, it's not easy, right?
Yeah. No, definitely not.
I mean, he wants to apologize to the families. He wants to be forgiven.
He wants to make things right.
Yeah, even though he knows that he doesn't deserve it.
Right.
And so he reaches out to the families, and it's heartbreaking.
Yeah, it's rough.
He goes to Emmy's parents first, and Clara, she could barely even look at him.
Yeah.
And then her husband just, like, explodes.
Oh, yeah.
It's like their pain is so raw.
Yeah, there's just no room for Salif's guilt, you know,
Nah.
in the face of what they're going through.
And then he goes to Tilly's dad.
Oh, gosh. And James is even worse.
James threatens him.
Yeah.
Calls him a monster. Says that he's the reason his daughter is dead.
It's like, there's just no way he's going to forgive him.
At that point, no.
No.
It just made me wonder, like, how can you ever bridge that gap?
Right. Like, how do you even begin to repair that damage?
Yeah.
It's a big question.
But Salif, he doesn't give up, you know? He keeps coming back.
He keeps trying.
He starts doing little things like cleaning the girls' memorial.
Yeah, he offers to help out around their houses.
Yeah, and it's like he's trying to show that he's sorry, but through his actions, right?
Yeah. Right, because words just aren't enough
No.
at this point.
And at first, they reject him, but it's like those little acts of service, they start to make a difference.
It's like he's trying to ease their burden in whatever small way he can.
Yeah.
It's really powerful.
Yeah, and there's this one scene where he plants this, like, dogwood tree in memory of the girls.
Oh, that's right.
And the edges with Clara.
Yeah.
It's like this fragile little symbol of hope.
Right, like maybe things can get better.
Yeah, maybe healing can start.
Yeah.
And then Clara does something that really changes things.
What's that?
She gives Salif Emmy's diary.
Wow, that's big.
And reading Emmy's words, her thoughts, it's like it gives Salif this understanding
Right.
of the life that he took, you know?
Yeah, like he's not just thinking about the crash anymore.
Mm.
He's thinking about Emmy, about who she was.
And there was this one entry where Emmy talks about helping this stray cat find a home.
Oh, I remember that.
And she writes about how even small acts of kindness can make a difference.
Yeah, it's like a message directly to Salif.
Yeah.
You know, like, this is how you can start to make things right.
Yeah, and so he starts volunteering, right?
Yeah.
At the local community center.
With the kids, right. The at-risk youth.
Yeah, and it's clear that he's trying to use his experience
Yeah.
as a warning. Right.
Right, like, learn from my mistakes.
Yeah.
Don't go down the same path that I did.
But some people are wary, right?
Oh, yeah, especially some of the parents.
Like they don't want to around their kids.
Yeah, it's understandable.
But there's this woman, Linda, who runs the center,
Yeah, she's great.
and she really believes in second chances.
Yeah, she's like his biggest advocate.
And she keeps reminding everyone that, you know, people can change.
Right, that we shouldn't just define them by their worst moments.
It makes you think about, like, how quick we are to judge.
Oh, yeah, totally.
And we don't always, like, allow for the fact that people can grow, you know?
Yeah, that's a good point.
And then there's this part where Salif meets Emmy's younger brother, James.
Ooh, wow, that must have been tough.
And he doesn't, like, hide from him, you know?
Yeah.
He admits what he did, and he tells him that he's sorry.
It's a small step,
Yeah.
but it's a step towards rebuilding trust.
And it's like all these little moments of connection start to chip away
Yeah.
at the anger and the resentment that's between him and the families.
Bit by bit.
He goes to their family gatherings. He proposes this scholarship fund in the girls' names.
Right, he's trying to find ways to honor their memory.
Yeah, it's like he's trying to make things right, but in a tangible way.
Yeah, he's putting in the work.
And slowly, we see signs of forgiveness.
Yeah, especially from Clara.
She starts to see that he's really sorry
Yeah.
and that he really wants to make amends.
It's not like a sudden thing.
No.
It's gradual.
Yeah.
She's taking her time.
But James,
Not there yet.
it's much harder for him.
Yeah, he's still really angry.
And Salif knows this, and he tells James that he'll keep trying no matter how long it takes.
It's like he understands that forgiveness is a process
Yeah.
and it looks different for everyone.
And then there's this scene where Salif gives this talk at the community center
Oh, yeah.
about road safety.
Right.
And he shares his story, and you can just hear the fear and the regret in his voice.
Like he's reliving it.
Yeah, but he's doing it because he wants to prevent other people from making the same mistakes.
Yeah, it's really brave of him.
It's like he's saying, I can't bring them back, but maybe I can save someone else.
Yeah.
And that's when Claire gives him Emmy's bracelet.
Oh, wow. That's huge.
It's like she's saying, I see you, I see your effort, and I believe you.
It's a really powerful moment.
Yeah, it's like a sign of trust.
Yeah, and acceptance.
That Salif hasn't felt since the accident.
It's like a physical representation of how far he's come.
I mean, it really makes you think, like, what does redemption even mean?
Right.
Like, can you ever really make things right?
Yeah.
After causing so much pain?
Yeah.
I feel like this book, it really grapples with that.
It does. It doesn't give you, like, easy answers.
Right.
But I think what's so powerful is that Salif, like, he never gives up.
Yeah.
He dedicates his life to honoring Emmy and Tilly, you know?
Yeah, and goes beyond, like, just his personal,
Right.
atonement.
It's bigger than that.
Yeah, he becomes, like, this advocate for road safety.
Yeah. He's really trying to prevent other people from going through the same thing.
And he mentors, like, troubled youth.
Yeah, he shares his story, hoping
Yeah.
that they'll learn from his mistakes.
And even reaches out to his old friends.
Right, the ones who were, like, egging him on.
Yeah, the ones who are, like, encouraging him to be reckless.
Yeah, he's like, hey, you guys were a part of this too.
It's like he's trying to create this, like, ripple effect of positive change,
Totally, yeah.
But it never feels, like, transactional, you know what I mean?
No, it's not like he's trying to earn his way back or anything. It's something deeper.
It feels genuine.
Yeah, it's like true remorse.
Yeah.
Like he really wants to make a difference.
And then, amidst all of this, he finds love.
Oh, wow.
Starts a family.
That's amazing.
It's like he's being given this chance,
Right, like a second chance.
to build a life worthy of the lives that were lost.
Yeah.
And it's so moving to see how, especially Clara,
Right.
how she responds to this.
She becomes like a mother to him almost.
Yeah.
It's like she's giving him the love and acceptance that he needs.
Yeah, and it's like that forgiveness, it's like it opens up this space
Right.
for this, like, unexpected connection.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Even James, Tilly's dad,
Right.
eventually comes around.
I know. It takes him a long time.
Years.
Yeah.
It's a struggle for him. But he finally forgives Salif.
It's amazing.
And then they end up, like, working together.
Right, on that distracted driving campaign.
It's just this, like, powerful image of reconciliation,
It is. It shows you that even after something so horrible,
Yeah.
healing is possible.
I'd say they're united by their grief.
Right.
But they're also united by this desire to prevent future tragedies.
Exactly.
And then Salif and his wife, they name their baby girl Tilly.
Oh, wow.
It's like such a beautiful tribute.
It is.
Like keeping her memory alive.
Yeah, it's like a symbol of hope.
Yeah, new beginning.
Yeah, life goes on.
Even after such deep sorrow.
And there's always the possibility for joy and new life.
And then Salif steps down as CEO of Till Hope.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow, that's surprising.
It is, but it also shows how much he's matured, I think.
Yeah.
He knows that the organization has grown,
Right, it needs new ideas, fresh perspectives.
And his kids, Zara and Kofi, they end up getting involved.
Oh, wow.
Which I thought was so powerful.
That's amazing.
It shows that, like, Emmy and Tilly's legacy, it lives on.
It does.
Not just in the organization, but in, like, the people who are carrying on their mission.
That's beautiful.
It all comes back to that diary entry,
Yeah.
where Emmy writes about making the world a better place, little by little.
Little by little, yeah.
And Salif, despite everything, despite his mistakes, he does that.
He does, yeah.
It's a testament to, like, the power of hope.
Absolutely.
Like, even someone who's made such terrible choices
right.
can still create positive change.
It's a powerful message.
This book, it's a tough read.
It is.
But I think it leaves you with this sense of hope.
Yeah, it makes you think about, like, what's possible.
Though, like, the resilience of the human spirit.
Exactly.
And it makes you think about our own capacity for both,
right.
destruction and redemption.
Yeah, it's a powerful story.
It's about loss,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
But it's also about forgiveness.
And hope.
And finding meaning.
Yeah.
Even in the face of tragedy.
Absolutely.
So, as we wrap up this deep dive, I think we're left with this, like, really big question.
What's that?
Could you, if you were in the family's shoes, could you forgive Salif?
It's a tough question.
And what does redemption actually look like to you?
Yeah. Something to think about.
Thanks for listening to The Deep Dive.